So, could you each introduce yourselves and who you represent?
My name is Okui Engineering. So we are gasification supplier. So we are trying to provide our service in United States sometime soon.
Well, John Trotti, I'm the editor of MSW Magazine. We're the official publication for Solid Waste Association in North America, and we're a national and international magazine, probably the biggest in the field now.
Hi, this is Naoki Hara. I came from Japan 6,000 miles away from here to see this great opening ceremony located in Thousand Oak City. I'm pleased to come here, and I'd like to introduce to everybody that we are the company who produce a gasifying direct melting system for waste. And I'm glad to see Dr. Eugene as well, and happy to be here. Thanks.
My name is Eugene Tseng. I'm the lead instructor for UCLA Extension for the Recycling and Municipal Solid Waste Management Certification Program. John Trotti and officers actually of JV Engineering serve on my advisory board for the program and review the curriculum. And we're looking at this facility as the reference benchmark for our case studies class as an example of best management practices for a household hazardous waste collection center. Okay.
We'll go ahead and jump in here on there. So, John Brooks with the City of Thousand Oaks. We oversee the operations at the facility, and it's all going to be contracted out through PSC. So they're going to be our operators here with the city oversight and Dr. Singh's assistance through the UCLA Extension program. We're going to set the benchmarks for these facilities, we hope, internationally.
Okay. So,
Dr. Singh, if you want to lead us on a
okay. As you can see, this is the entrance into the facilities, and you will see that there's two lanes wide. Typically, only one lane is used. We always keep one lane open for emergencies, for fire or whatever. So this is a very wide entrance, and we call this type of drive-through a left-hand loop. It is the safest way for the management of hazardous waste facilities that you use this type of drive-through, doing left turns only. And as you come in here, this entire area is used for what we call queuing, or for the cars to wait to be serviced. We try to allow for adequate queuing to keep the cars off the streets. This area is the loading dock. This is actually the back of the facilities, but this is where the trucks that remove the collected materials and take it to treatment facilities. This is where they're loaded. Okay, so we'll walk around as we're a car into the area where we would unload. In this area here, you will see employee parking.
So it's important, we only want staff parking back here. We don't want any residents or people outside of their vehicles in this area. It's a controlled zone.
This is what we call the unloading area, or the initial staging area. And the cars actually pull up here, and there's no need for the resident or the driver to get out of their cars. The material is actually loaded, unloaded here, and placed onto small carts. So this whole area, as you can see, is very wide. So we typically only use one lane, but you can see we have an extra lane for the follow-through for the emergency vehicles.
I have a question.
Yes.
Don't you have any weight estimation? I mean, you don't need to.
No.
Yeah.
No. We have scales internally for shipping, but we don't really need to know how much each individual brings in. We're more interested in the gross weight by the type of materials.
Nice.
We will check with we take small businesses in, and we'll weigh those, and there's a charge there, but yeah, not the bigger vehicles.
Yes. This area that you see here will actually have plastic put on top of it during the operational days where they're actually collecting the materials, just as an extra layer of protection. And as you look at this facility, the primary goal for best management practice for this type of industry is health and safety. So we've tried to incorporate the health and safety recommendations into the facility design and the operational flow of this facility. So we've tried to design discrete operational zones for how we manage the materials that's collected. Like we said, this is the drive-through where they actually unload the material. So the cars are in this area, and once they unload, they will leave. This is what we call the transition area. This area is primarily used for characterization of the waste. So we determine, is it flammable, is it poisonous, is it corrosive, different type of material, and we actually put it onto carts to actually move it into the storage area. So like I said, this is basically your what we call transition, but it's still part of staging. But the main thing that happens in this area is characterization. Okay, and go ahead.
I was going to say one thing that we haven't put it up yet, but we're putting video up. So you'll be able to see over here on the wall, it's blank right now, we're going to be putting a large monitor up there, and there'll be a half dozen cameras. Because of the way the facility is configured, you can't see what's going on behind you here if you're working. So we want our staff here to be able to see what's going on behind. If there's somebody wandering around back there that shouldn't be there, they'll be able to observe through the cameras. We'll also be able to observe what's in the cars. There'll be a camera up here to look down in on the vehicle, so we can hopefully get some ideas, particularly if we need to evacuate in an emergency. We'll be able to see what's going on, or if we need to find this person in the future for some reason. A lot of times you'll get a box of mixed materials kind of jumbled up, and you may find other things at the bottom of that you need to find out what's going on. So we'll hopefully be able to contact them in the future. So the entire facility will have video surveillance, and we'll be able to monitor from anywhere, even from our iPhones as well. So Dr. Tseng will be able to pull it up on his camera in Japan and show you what's going on at the facility while they're here working.
Okay.
So looking forward to that.
Two of the most common materials that's typically brought here is used oil and e-waste or electronic waste. So that is actually pretty what we call low-risk waste. So that's actually is stored in this outer area here. And so the processing and movement to storage is in this part of the facility. Like I said, we tried to design this facility so there's discrete operational zones so you don't mix different types of operations. And that's to maximize the simplicity of the operations in a specific area and to minimize the cross-operational things where it may not be consistent. So we have little platform scales that can weigh at the consolidated materials. That's how we keep track. So we have scales inside and outside. And you'll see three main storage areas, and they're very, very, very well labeled. So you have flammables, and you see this is a separate contained building just for flammables. And then we have two other areas, and you have this signs for the materials. So you have paint, oxidizers, toxics, corrosives, right? And the reason, and we have a wall, the reason that we have discrete areas is certain types of waste are not compatible with other types of waste. So you don't want to be storing incompatible waste. So there's three generic categories that need to be separated and not mixed. So that's why we have three discrete storage areas. The one specific one that we have that's separate is the dangerous when wet, and that's like for your computer batteries, the lithium batteries. So we have a specific box for that. Okay, and you will notice that the floor, this is impervious paint. This is concrete underneath, but this is actually a coating that's put on top so that anything that spills is easily mopped up. Okay.
The nice aisles in here is the fire department likes to be able to get in completely in if they're fully suited up and they need to go to the back and see what's going on. So you need to maintain a clear aisle pathway for their access.
Okay, you'll notice that the transition from the floor to the storage area is actually level. Okay, and the other thing to notice is if you look at through the grade, you can notice that it goes down more than 3 feet. Okay, this is very unique to this facility. most facilities, this is we call the secondary containment. By law, we have to allow for an emergency where a barrel would leak, and when the materials come out, you have to be able to contain whatever is stored here. But typically the containment is not more than maybe 6 inches, because you only are accounting for how much material is in the bin, in the drum. But there's been one case where there was a fire, and you see the sprinklers, and it took a lot of water to put the fire out, and the water just overflowed the secondary containment. So secondary containment was designed for what's inside. The secondary containment is designed actually to contain all the water that would be necessary to put out the fire. So it is in the U.S. by far the largest secondary containment for a household hazardous waste facility. And these grates are actually strong enough to drive the forklift on. Okay? So if you can come over here, I want you to take notice the windows on top. And you notice there's always kind of a very nice breeze in this area. So this facility is actually designed to be self-ventilating so that there's always airflow for the changes of air that's necessary. And so we have a lot of different rolling, that's the one for the going out to the loading dock, but you can see even for this storage for the flammables, you can see we have 3 doors. If you want to come on in here, okay. So you can see again, it's designed for operational simplicity. We don't want cross traffic, so if things are moved in here, we can actually easily load out to the dock. We don't have to go through the facility again. So we have multiple paths, one there and one out that way.
And everything electrical in here is explosion proof. So if there are any vapors or anything when you open the door, click on the lights, we're not going to have any problems.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
and it's alarmed, right? There's an alarm that would show vapors as well.
Yes. Let me come along here. So this is the administrative and operational center, the kind of office break room. And you can see we try to get maximum visibility of most of the operational areas. And of course the floor is also coated. And if you turn around here, you can see this is kind of one-way glass, but you can actually see into the materials reuse center. Okay? And a materials reuse center is where materials that are brought in that are hardly used or brand new, instead of disposing of it and treating it, which is an expense to the city, if it can be reused, it actually offers great cost savings, and it reduces the amount that's actually people have to buy, because these are all materials that are collected and given away for free. Okay, so we're going to...
It keeps from having to manufacture another one if somebody's going to go buy it, so that has a huge carbon footprint benefit for us as well, especially if they're only using a small part of it like the original homeowner did and brought those in. This area will not be monitored, there won't be staffed. So that's going to be open 9 to 1, the same as the facility here on Fridays and Saturdays. And a resident can go in there and shop, and at the end of the time, if they find something they want, they'll pick up the phone and call, and it rings out here, and our staff know to go and check them out, because we do want them to sign a waiver. But we will have video monitoring in there as well, so that will be definitely one of those areas where we're watching what's going on.
Okay, so we're just going to go around and take a look. You can go inside the reuse center and take a look. Right. So this is typical materials that are reused. We got paint, varnishes, take a look, waxes, cleaners.
Yeah, we get a lot of sometimes unique things in here that you wouldn't expect, but somebody brought in 2 full propane containers the other day, like you use on your barbecue. Those are pretty expensive. And the city's got a lot of residents that buy very high quality materials, and these are good quality materials that are here, and for one reason or another they're not using them, or they've chosen they're not going to need it. So we're focusing on trying to get these back out to people, and it's very popular. So when our temporary facilities, it was operated once a month for that day only, and we would have people sit there for 3 or 4 hours waiting for materials to come out and to get the best materials. So there we were giving out 1,000 to 2,000 pounds a month through that material reuse program, and we're hoping to be able to substantially increase that now that we will have more time to sort over here. When you get 300 to 500 and 600 cars that come in a 4 or 5 hour period, you're pretty frantic. Everything has to go off that day in our temporary event. Now it can be much more methodically gone through and determine what would be good. So we'll have more materials come out to the shelf here, and since it's open more frequently to the public, we're anticipating that a lot more of the public will be interested in dropping by and picking up something.
If we walk through this door here, this is actually the loading dock where the materials are been loaded onto trucks that would be backed onto here, onto this dock, and then transported to treatment and disposal facilities. Okay. And you can notice this area is also coated with the impermeable coating here. Okay. And the way the trucks would come in here is they will come in the same entrance. They go up there and then it's back in here. And we expect a truck to be pretty much always here. And in order to be efficient in the terms of the cost of transportation, we would only really send a fully loaded truck out to maximize the payload. No more questions? Okay, thank you.